Hello everyone, my name is Ishan and I'm making this video to share my learning journey and my understanding of leadership, ethics, and advocacy, while also reflecting on some of the challenges and the successes I have had in the past 9 weeks when it comes to understanding leadership in the context of early learning environments. So, starting from challenges, my early understanding was that leadership is a very complex task, which it is indeed. I used to ask questions like, what is leadership? What does it actually means to be a leader? Or simply asking myself a question that what would I do if I was to be put into a leadership position that involves making crucial decisions, and how would I approach challenging situations where I know that my decision making can affect things like the lives of children, families, and the community members. So, looking at the challenges now, I feel like it was important for me to ask these questions. So, the number one challenge that I had was understanding the policy and the regulation. So, engaging in weekly workshops and lectures, I came to understand the importance of the national quality framework, the national quality standards, and the different quality areas that influence our decision making. Things as simple as ECE Code of Ethics, which does sound simple when it comes to looking at a document that is only a couple of pages long. But the central or the core values of the ECE Code of Ethics preamble are crucial in my understanding when I look at how I have learned in the past 9 weeks that there are many factors that influences a leader's decision making. So overcoming this challenge of understanding policy and regulation was a huge success. Another challenge was communication and partnership. I struggled initially with understanding what professional communication really means. But when I reflect on my learnings from week 3 and week 4, now I can say that I understand that the communication that education leaders have with family and community members does play an important role in deciding many things like curriculum and the planning cycles that are crucial in supporting the learning of children in early childhood environments. So, having an emphasis on the ethical, inclusive, transparent, and culturally responsive practice, I looked at the Department of Education resources like the WILDEF and the EYLF to broaden my understanding of having partnerships with families and communities. I became more aware of how influential communication is in shaping team, culture, and trust, and also building trust with families and communities. After this, I looked at another challenge, which was governing and power imbalances when it comes to early learning environments. Leaders navigate legal, financial, and operational expectations when it comes to engaging with the decision makers, like as simple as talking to a committee of board members of a community run service. It can be a challenging task. So, when it comes to overcoming those challenges, I had to look on my approach to enhance my knowledge and also become more confident about my practice and my professional conduct. Building confidence in pedagogical leadership was the first step. So now I understand that education leaders guide the curriculum and planning cycle and support reflective practice. This was only possible through exploring the ESIQA early learning framework and also looking at the national quality standards. Leadership becomes less about authority and more about rational influence when you start to understand the relevant frameworks and the values that a leader must have and should bring out when it comes to dealing with challenging situations. I began to recognize my strengths in communication and doing some reflection when I now look at things like growth. I always prefer doing reflections strengthen my leadership and has done it in the past 9 weeks in a very influential manner. So the weekly reflections have helped me analyze the challenges, connect the theory to practice, and understand my reactions and how I make my decisions. Reflections has become an anchor in my professional development. Understanding the organizational culture and things like change management has helped me a lot in overcoming some of the challenges that I had initially faced in the understanding of leadership, ethics, and advocacy in early learning environments. Looking at things like the Lewis 3 step model, Cortez 8 step change process, helped me to see how intentional leadership supports sustainable change. These models gave me practical strategies for leading through uncertainty. Um, Another thing that I would like to bring your focus on is how my leadership understanding has evolved. Leadership is now something I see as collective and not individual. So I have shifted from fearing making mistakes to using challenges as opportunities for learning. Now I understand that leadership has a journey that grows through practice and feedback. The future growth areas for me that I have identified could be strengthening communication, especially handling difficult conversations and doing advocacy, deepening policy and governance knowledge to make myself feel more comfortable and confident while being compliant in the decision making process in a ethically correct way. So leading change using the change models that were advised by the Lewin and the Cortez model. um, I would make sure that I do reflective practice, and I remain calm, ethical, and supportive when it comes to navigating those hard times and the challenges that I had mentioned earlier. So, this unit has reshaped my understanding of leadership, and now I see leadership to be something that should be grounded in ethics, reflection, collaboration, and intentional action rather than a response to adverse situations. Now I see leadership as being um, something that is very personal to me. I feel more prepared and more confident in my personal values as emerging leader. I am committed to growing into a leader who supports teams, empowers families, and upholds the right and well being of children. Thank you.